Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. We are Chubb Family Vlogs. This is Coffee Chat episode 5. Got my coffee, got my cigarette. I've done about 5 takes with this video because I keep screwing up. So hopefully this is the final product. I wanted to talk about how me and Mrs. Chubbs met and how we ended up to where we are today. So she was getting out of a nasty relationship. I was out of a nasty relationship. I had just split up with my wife. I was at a buddy's house. I told my buddy's girlfriend, I said, hey, you got any friends that want to hang out? She said, yeah, I do. So she calls Mrs. Chubbs. Mrs. Chubbs comes over. So Mrs. Chubbs proceeds to tell me that she's out of this real bad relationship, breakup. Same goes with me. So she leaves that night after we hung out for quite a few hours. And gives me her number. So I call her, probably right before she even made it into her front door at her parents' house. So we hung out, we talked, got a hold of her the next day, we hung out again, the next day, hung out again, the next day, so on, so on, so on. Inseparable. We were always together. And we still are today, believe it or not, as hectic as we both are. So we were driving, and we found this apartment, and it said efficiency apartment, all utilities included, fully furnished, for something a month. So jokingly, we're like, hey, let's just move in together, and we did. All she had was a couple of garbage bags and a game console. All I had was a couple of garbage bags and a surround sound. We didn't have nothing else. Our significant others from previous relationship took everything we had, so we had to start off fresh. So we moved into this apartment. We lived there for a few months, and then I had walked outside for something the one day, and there was a guy sticking a needle in his arm. He was all faded out on heroin. We said we want out of here, so we moved. We moved to this other town, and we lived in this 2-bedroom apartment. Now, when we moved into this 2-bedroom apartment, we had absolutely nothing. Nothing. The only thing that came with that apartment was it had central air, it had a stove and a refrigerator. But that was it. We had no living room furniture. We had no bed. Basically, we had to end up getting hand-me-downs, and we started building up over time. So we had hardly anything. Then we moved from there to... Where did we move after that? We moved so much. From there, we moved into a little house that was smaller than this house, and it was all fine and dandy, but the landlord was a slumlord. Nothing was getting fixed in our home. We had raccoons that were at our basement door trying to get in. We had coyotes up on our roof howling and barking and scraping at our roof all night. We had mice. I'm not kidding you. We had mice so bad in this house that I literally, the one day I was talking to Mrs. Chubb. She was at work. I was off work. I was at home. And she asked me if I was setting up mouse traps. I said, yeah, I'm setting up one right now. So I go to click it back. It had the bait on it. I sat it down, walked back into the living room, and I could see into the kitchen where I put the mouse trap. Within 2 seconds, the mouse trap went pow, and we caught a mouse. Did it again, pow, caught a mouse. That place was filthy. No matter how much we cleaned, no matter how much we kept the grass cut, no matter how much anything, mice were still coming in, rodents were still coming in, coyotes were still on the roof, raccoons were trying to break in the door. We moved. We moved out of state, went to this other state, and got this duplex. And at that time, my father was having some medical issues. He ended up moving in with us in this duplex. It was a really nice big duplex, but there was like no yard. Dogs couldn't even run. The only thing we could do was take them out on a leash, let them use the restroom. And at the time, we only had 2 dogs. So we lived there for a while. And then our landlord said, hey, I got a bigger house down the road. It's not a duplex. It's just a house. Big fenced-in yard. I think your dogs would love it, but it's a little bit more money. So we went there. We looked at it. We wanted it. We took it. It was an okay house. It wasn't bad. And at that time, we ended up getting the 2 other dogs. We got Piper, the Boston Terrier, and Blaze, the Chihuahua. And we lived there for quite a few months, and it was nice, like I said. But we kept thinking, like, okay, so here's the deal. We're paying X amount of money for something that we're just renting. And anytime you're renting, you're just throwing money into a hole. It's not your house. I mean, sure, you can hang up pictures. Some places you can, and that's about it. You can't really do much else with it. And for the price, I'm like, we need to try to find something that maybe we could possibly buy or rent to own on land contract. Well, shortly thereafter, we talked about it, and we found this house that we're in now. Found the guy on Facebook, and he said he wanted to sell it, but he would consider rent to own on land contract, depending on how much money you could put down on the home. We met up with him. We looked at the house. We said, it's small, but it could be ours. And it comes with a decent amount of land for being considered in town. And the only way I was going to do rent to own was if we had legal things going on. Like, I wanted to make sure it was all legit, legal, binding, so he couldn't back out, so we couldn't back out. We wanted to save our butts and his. So we made a decision on how much we could put down. And I won't get into numbers, but for us to buy this house is way cheaper than what we were renting the last house for. And it's crazy now to look around our house because we have so much stuff we have to downsize. We have to get rid of a lot of stuff. And to think that we started out with absolutely nothing to now we have so much stuff that we have to downsize is truly amazing and a blessing and nerve-wracking and stressful. But that woman that you can hear in there is the best thing that has ever happened to me. She has truly saved my life. Without her, I don't know where I would be today. She's been through so many ups and downs with me. It's freaking unbelievable. I lost my mother, and this woman was fighting right with me side by side. She knew my mother for a short amount of time, but my mother loved her, and she loved my mother. And I'll tell you what, when it came time to say goodbye to my mother, she held Mrs. Chubbs' hand, and that was a point to where I knew for sure that this woman is absolutely amazing. To see everything that she has, like, we've went through so much crap over the years, it's unbelievable. Mrs. Chubbs having cancer, to them telling her you'll never have kids, to her being sick all the time, to me being sick all the time, to now look, we have a full house with too much stuff that we have to downsize, to a beautiful baby girl, 4 crazy dogs, and my father. This woman goes through a lot of crap every day, but I tell you what, I wouldn't change it for anything, because she is honestly the best thing that's happened to me. But anyways, my coffee's about done, this chat's about over, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you like this video, give a thumbs up. Don't forget to share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified every time there's a new Coffee Chat episode. See you guys.